Hello gamers, and welcome to another edition of Tonight on Mage Hammer's Game Table, where tonight I'm continuing my solo RPG session using the basic fantasy role-playing game 4th edition rule set. This story is the quest for the Shattered Crown, and the party that has been hired by their patron Miranda Hall Heathcroft is Lalandra Rusher, Thardor Anvilshield, Dwarf Cleric, Mysterious Elf Dark Shadow, and the Halfling Magic User, Ketho Misty Hollow. They have been on a quest to gain the 6 shards of the Shattered Crown, which were scattered around the Swordlands by Grond the Petty, the man who slew the king who wore the crown, shattered the crown, then took all the pieces and hid them at various places throughout the Swordlands, made a map of it in case someday he was able to return, get the crown, and take it, but he has since passed away. Recently, a patron, Miranda Hall Heathcroft, has come into possession of that map and has made copies and hired the adventurers, the Argosian Wayfarers, to whom I just introduced you to find those shards. Well, it's been a long and arduous quest around the Swordlands, but they are now on their way to the 6th shard, and they're also on their travels trying to figure out the riddle, to figure out exactly where the Scepter of Might is that was also hidden away when the shards of the Shattered Crown were hidden away as well. So they're going to get the crown put together, and then they're going to make their way back to Argos, to the Argosian Adventurers Guild, where they will put the crown pieces into the vault, hopefully solve the riddle, make their way to get the scepter, and once they retrieve the scepter, call on Miranda Hall Heathcroft to come get her shards, get her scepter, and pay them a lot of gold. So in the last episode, they, with the help of dwarves from the mining village in the Trundelwrack Mountains, a dwarven mining village, they defeated Rathgalamor the Red, a fire giant who had been harrying the village a bit, but also mostly just kind of taking over an ancient giant delve. However, that delve was the hiding place of the shard that the party needed to acquire. So they made their way to the delve, made their way in, fought through orc minions and the ogre bodyguards of Rathgalamor, and it made for quite a harrowing experience. In the end, Fandor Strongbeard and his dwarves came to the rescue of our Argosian Wayfarers, who were getting themselves beat up pretty badly. Thankfully, no one lost their life, though Dark Shadow came very, very close. And in the end, they went, rested at the village, and are now making their way through Treya's Wood after thanking the dwarves for their aid, making their way through Treya's Wood on their way to find the final shard of the crown. So that's where we are. Now, through Treya's Wood, it's going to take about 7 days to get through the wood and the foothills, but they're going to go through the forest itself, curve around the foothills, and they need to get to this location on their map. And so that is 6 days travel through harsh terrain. So they have stocked up, they have plenty of supplies, and we're going to see how many encounters they have during the day. And 1s and 2s indicates an encounter. So they're going to have 4 encounters during the day. Yikes, okay. And at night, they're going to have 3, 4. Oh my goodness, 4 and 4. Alrighty. So I guess that's where we're at. As I said, Lalandra Rusher is now a 4th level fighter. Thardor Anvilshield, after coming back from being resurrected by Fandor Strongbeard in an adventure before the fight against Rathgalamor, he has managed to gain yet another level. He's back to 3rd level. Dark Shadow and Dark Shadow's 4th level. Ketho Misty Hollow is 3rd level. So that's where they stand currently. Here's their current hit point totals. And they, for those of you who have not been following on this series, if this is your first episode, they also have healing stones that have 3 charges per day that help keep them alive in the harshest of environments that they acquired from the Argosian Adventurers Guild. Okay, So 4 and 4. That is a lot of encounters. I have a feeling this is going to be a travel episode. So let's see. So 6 days, we'll see what days the encounters are not going to happen. The translucent will be the day, the opaque will be the nights. So they're not going to have a night encounter on the 5th day, and they're not going to have a day encounter on the 1st day. And yeah, I guess I'll just roll randomly as I go. My brain was going somewhere with that, and I decided I'm not going to do that. All right, so first day, we'll see if. All right, so they have 4 and 4. On the first day, let's see if they have an encounter. Of the 4, they do not. Let's see if they have a night day encounter. They do. So one of their nighttime encounters is going to happen on their first night out into Treya's Wood. So they are camping. Let's see what they encounter. I'm going to roll on the forest, even though they're kind of foothills forest. I'm going to roll on the forest encounter sheet from the core rulebook. All right, so they are about to bed down to camp. Let's see if it happens before they sleep. It is going to happen while they are sleeping. Let's see whose watch is going to happen on. It is going to be on Dark Shadow's watch. So they're small little tents that they carry. Very compact, fold out pretty good, just enough to kind of keep the dew off of them as they sleep. And so let's see if Dark Shadow is able to ascertain they are in forest. 8. That puts it at that. That doesn't make any sense for a nighttime encounter. All right, so we'll shift it up. All right, so as Dark Shadow is there doing her guard, she senses something approaching. Let's see. We'll see if she's surprised. I doubt she'll be surprised, but you never know. No, she is not surprised. And a little brown bear makes its way towards the embers of their fire. Dark Shadow sees it, looks around, makes sure her companions are sleeping, and walks up to the bear with some of her rations. The bear sniffs it, takes it, chews it. She deigns to pet the bear. Let's see if she upsets the bear by trying to pet it. She's moving very slowly. And as she gets a little close, she sees that the bear's mouth starts open a little bit. She backs off her hand and throws him some more food. The bear eats for a while. She watches the bear. And then the bear wanders off back into the forest. A rare nighttime encounter with a bear. Okay. So that was that. Very sweet little encounter. We like bears, don't we? All right. Then, that was their first night encounter. That was the first day of travel. Second day of travel. Let me track that this way. Okay, on their second day of travel, let's see if they have an encounter during the day or during the night. They do not have any encounters on the second day. Third day, through these peaceful yet possibly dangerous woods, they have no encounter during the day or the night. On the fourth day, we're getting to a point where we're going to have an encounter during the day. So we are going to have an encounter during the day. See if we have an encounter during the night. We do not. So that means that we are going to be having a day encounter here on the fourth day. Let's see what that is. 9 in forests. Really? Okay. That'll be fun, I think. As they are making their way through the forest, see if they're surprised. That may determine how this goes. They are surprised. Suddenly Dark Shadow's like, stop. And suddenly a herd of antelope is running towards them as if fleeing from something else. And they try to hide behind some tree stubs or whatever. So basically, I'm going to give them a save versus breath weapon. We're going to take 3d6 trample / horn damage as the antelope come rushing past them. Versus breath weapon, dragon breath. All right, so Thardor, as the antelopes go plunging past him, makes his save. He's going to take half damage. It appears as if Ketho Misty Hollow also has made his save. Uh-oh. Lalandra, that D20, I'm telling you, I probably should retire it. That D20 has her at failing, and Dark Shadow on breath weapon fails as well. So these two are going to take full damage. These two are going to take half damage. That's going to be 3d6. Trample damage, horn damage as the crazed creatures run past them. That's for a total of 12. So they're each going to take 12 damage, and they are each going to take 6 damage. We are not having a night encounter tonight, so I'm not going to bother to fix that. They will use his Cure Light Wounds, and if they need to do their healing stones to heal themselves that damage. But ouch, that definitely was a painful encounter of a herd of antelope running. And they don't really stick around to find out exactly what those antelope are running from. And they kind of the party curves around the best they can, following the map that they've been given to make their way around any kind of threat that may have chased those poor creatures into their path. So that was that day encounter. So for the last 3 days on their way to the Delve and 3 nights, they are now going to have an encounter. Here we go. Let's see what that is. So the first day, third day, they run into, in the forest. Okay, so let's see if they are surprised. Dark Shadow is the most likely not to be surprised. So we'll roll for Dark Shadow. Because Dark Shadow's with them, they are only surprised on 1s. So that was close. They are not surprised. Dark Shadow goes, hold on, friends. I think we have company. Gird yourselves for battle. And a horn sounds, and arrows fly at our party from this direction. It is twilight, by the way, because these creatures probably would not be out in the bright full-on day. And I have 2 of them. This is quite a warband, by the way. So I'm going to throw in a couple more for good measure. That's enough. All right, so arrows fly from this direction through the trees. It's kind of slightly a bit of a clearing at this area. That's probably why they felt that they needed to ambush it from this area, because they would have a clearer shot at their enemies or their victims, I guess is a better way to put it. And some sneak around from behind or coming at them from this direction. And this one here, this one carrying the spear looks tougher than most. So he is, yeah, he looks tougher than most. So they're coming in squads of 4. With the exception of these 2 over here and these 2 over here. And we're rolling initiative. Orcs in the twilight. All right, so Lalandra on a 5, the orcs on a 3, Thardor on a 4, Dark Shadow on a 6, Ketho on an 8. So, Ketho, of course. He's going to try to get those 4 with a sleep spell. He casts sleep. Probably should go defensive, but he's not going to. Oh, yeah, well, the 2 arrows. I should get the 2 arrows. I mean, they weren't surprised. Let's throw 2 arrows in there and see what happens, just for the fun of it. 1 does hit somebody. Let's roll to see who it is. One, Kathor. Or not Kathor, that's his god. Thardor. Thardor gets hit for a d6 arrow damage, 2 damage. Okay, so right off the bat, Thardor is down to 19 hit points. Okay. And away we go. All right, so arrows fly in. I'll just say those are their attacks. Gave them kind of a preemptive attack just because it's fun. Dark Shadow is going to fire off at this group here, at this guy with this battle axe. Fires off an arrow off of her short bow, and she misses. I am going to switch out Lalandra's die to this, or to this die here, and we'll see if it makes any difference. So anyway, so Lalandra, she sees the chief, 5, 10, 15, 20, and she goes after him. Go for the leader, right? So she attacks. And she rolls a natural 1 after I switch out her die. So maybe the problem is not the dice. Maybe the problem is Lalandra. Okay. Ketho now with that sleep spell he's been wanting to cast. He's going to cast it at these 4. So we're going to roll saving throw. Their save is fighter 1s. And they need a 17. And none of them make it. They all fall asleep. Sleep spell is our favorite spell, folks. All right, and then Thardor, seeing them go down, goes after this crew here. He goes and moves up and attacks this one here. And he attacks with his mighty warhammer. Snake eyes with a d20 and a d8. Okay. And the orcs close in on him. And then this one runs around to attack Dark Shadow, as does this one. This archer already fired its arrow, and so that's where we're at. So 2 attacks on Lalandra, or on Dark Shadow, both 13, 13. We are in Twilight, so they don't have their -1 to hit. That they both miss. And 2 attacks on Thardor, both miss as well. Dark Shadow was very nimble there. So that brings us to oh no, the boss man. So the boss man attacks Lalandra and misses. All right. The chief, not boss man. 3 for the for Thardor, 4 for Ketho, 1 for the orcs, 4 for Dark Shadow, and 3 for Lalandra. So a lot of simultaneous attacks, but all right, so Dark Shadow pulls out. Oh, I forgot about these 2 orcs. Oh my gosh. Well, they kind of stuttered a bit. They were afraid of the magic coming out of that halfling. It stunned them, so they'll be available to attack this round. Dark Shadow attacks with her, tries to apply her short sword, and hits armor class 10. That's not enough. Then Ketho's like, ooh, those 2 guys, they scare me. It's going to cast sleep at them. And those 2 have to make saving throws, 17 or higher. And neither of them make it, so they go down. And then Lalandra and Kathor, or Thardor, are going to attack. All right, so Lalandra has a +7 at this point, so that's a 16. So she hits the chieftain because he has armor class 15. And Thardor actually hit 2 with a 16 plus 4. Is he up to 4? Is he at 3? +4, yeah, so 20. So he hits as well. So he does 7 damage to one of those orcs. That's enough to vastly injure one. He could use a luck die to take it down permanently, but decides not to. All right, the chieftain and that archer and those 2 on Dark Shadow. And she did 7 damage to the chief. He has more hit points than that. Yeah, that's good. All right, and so that was those 2. And now the orcs. So the chieftain attacks Lalandra. And he gets +2. He rolled a 14, so he misses. The archer fires at Ketho and misses. The 2 on Thardor both miss. And 2 on Dark Shadow. 12 misses. So they They missed Dark Shadow. Very nimble Dark Shadow. Initiative. Dark Shadow on an 8. Ketho on a 4. Orcs on a 2. Those two on 1s. All right. So Dark Shadow, once again, plying her short sword, trying to take down an orc. Does 4 damage to one of them. And then that's her attack. And then Ketho, he's going to magic missile the... no, he's going to cast shield. He's going to get his armor class up. So he casts shield and then runs behind this tree. Doesn't get too far from Dark Shadow in case she goes down. All right, and then we're going to move to the orcs. So 2 attacks on Thardor. Oof, 1 hit. Thardor takes, they do a d8 damage in general. Takes 2 damage. Down to 17 hit points. All right, and then that brings us to the 2 on Dark Shadow. Stab, smash, slash, mists. And the Chieftain on Lalandra misses as well. And the Archer fires off at Ketho. Now, he gets a 16 total. Ketho has against missile weapons, a shield spell gives him an 18 armor class. Plus the tree helps as well. So the arrow flies awry. Now, Thardor attacks, as does Lalandra. So he gets 4, that's 11. He misses. She gets +7, that's a 15. She hits, and she does 8 damage on the Chieftain. She just hit the Chieftain. And does 8 damage to him. Not enough to fell him. The Archer's getting a little nervous now. That female human's beating up on her boss really bad. His boss really bad. Initiative. Ooh, Ketho on an 8. 7 for Dark Shadow. 3 for Thardor. 2 for Lalandra. And 1 for the orcs. So Ketho, just firing off another... He's going to fire off a magic missile at the boss man, the Chieftain. 6 damage. He's going to use a luck die to finish him off. Chieftain goes down. And then that's him. Dark Shadow's fighting. She misses. Then Thardor, he takes a swing, trying to take down the one he is not injured. Ooh, crit. Oh, bye. One's done. Then that is Lalandra, and she attacks with her brand new sword. She moves on the Archer and attacks. 5 + 7 is 12. Not enough. Misses. Changing enemies must have distracted her. So she is attacked by the Archer. Misses. He's switching weapons anyway, so. And then 2 on Dark Shadow. Both miss. And 1 on Thardor crits him. So 8 plus a d4. That's 10 damage to Thardor. So he is now at 17. That can't be right. I'm bad at math. I can't remember what it was. So I'll say, because he started with 21. So we'll say 17. We'll say minus 10. So that's 7 hit points. How's that? I'm telling you guys, I got a thing with numbers. They just don't stick in my head at all, like literally from second to second, as you just saw. It's kind of like my superpower. All right, so initiative. 6 for Dark Shadow, 6 for Lalandra, 1 for Thardor, 1 for the orcs, and 3 for Ketho. Dark Shadow's fighting for her life here. 9 + 4 is a 13. Or +3 is a 12. She misses. Not using a luck die. Not worth it. Lalandra's attacking this Archer, trying to take him down. She hits and does 8 damage. That definitely takes down the Archer. So Chieftain's down and the Archer is down. All right. And then Ketho unleashes a arcane bolt at the one of the ones fighting Dark Shadow. He needs a 14. He misses. And then Thardor attacks with the orcs. So Thardor's attack, 2 attacks on... This is attack on Thardor, translucent. The 2 opaque will be on Dark Shadow and Thardor attacks. So they're all attacking at the same time. Oh my gosh, crit on Thardor and misses Dark Shadow. Crit on Thardor, and he just misses his opponent. So he gets a crit, so that's 8 plus 1, so 9 damage. He is going to have to use some luck dice. -4, that's 5 damage, so he's down to 2. But cost him 2 luck dice. Luck is keeping him alive. All right, so that brings us to initiative. Oof. Wow. Okay, so she's on 3, he's on 5. Thardor on 5, and the orcs on 2, and Lalandra on 1. Thardor and Ketho go on the same time. Ketho's targeting one of the ones on Dark Shadow, and another natural 1 for Thardor. He misses, and a hit with a arcane bolt for 1 damage on one of the ones fighting Dark Shadow. And my hit points seem to have been disrupted. All right, so good enough. All right, so we're looking at 3 orcs left. Yes, okay. And that's that. Dark Shadow attacks the wounded one that has the arcane bolt stain. That's just a 12, not enough to take it down. She is not doing well. These translucent dice, I may have to switch them out. These are old dice. I've had these a while. This die I actually got in Salem, Massachusetts way back in the 90s when I went to visit my best friend out there. So this whole white and black set is from Salem, Massachusetts, which is kind of exciting. Then the orcs attack. So translucent one is Thardor. Miss, 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 but Dark Shadow is finally hit. She's been dodging as best she can. Oh, no, do a D8. 5 damage. She takes 5 damage. Finally, something got past her deft defenses. All right. 11 hit points left. Okay, so then Lalandra, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. She doesn't quite make it. She gets up there to distract that, but is not able to attack. All right, so the orcs go on 3, Thardor on 3, Ketho on 7, Lalandra on 5, and Dark Shadow on 8. Dark Shadow is going to turn to the healthy one, because that is not the one that Lalandra has engaged, and attack it with her short sword. And that's a 12, and she misses. I'm going to have to switch her die out, too, eventually. Ketho, Arcane Bolt's the one he Arcane Bolted last time. Oh, just missed. And that's going to be Lalandra. She's going to attack. She hits and does 4 damage, which is enough to drop the wounded orc. And then moves up on this one. And then Thardor, it goes simultaneous with the orcs. And so he is going to attack. Translucent's on him. He hits. Translucent hits him. And a 12 misses Dark Shadow. So Thardor is going to have to use luck dice to stay alive. We'll see how much damage it comes his way. 3 damage. That is, he should be able to save this. He does. So that attack just luckily crammed off his shield, crammed off his helmet, but didn't do any damage. Then that's that. And then he hit his and slew his opponent, because that was simultaneous, so it had to happen that way. Initiative, 8 for Ketho, 3 for Thardor, 3 for Lalandra, 5 for the orcs, and 5 for Dark Shadow. So she's going to go simultaneous at them. Ketho is going to Arcane Bolt the final orc. And he gets it for 2 damage. All right. And then it attacks. It is going to attempt to run away. And they are going to get a free shot, each of them. Dark Shadow and Lalandra, that is. Plus, Dark Shadow is attacking simultaneous anyway. And Dark Shadow with her short sword. They hit and both slay this fleeing orc. They dispatch the other orcs quite easily because of the amount of hit points they would have, and my house rule for crit damage. So the orcs have been defeated. They have a few silver pieces and nothing else of any exciting interest. However, Thardor is wounded, and he may end up having a encounter. So he's going to use some. He's got to heal himself. They still have they're about to bunk down for the night, but Am I short? Am I missing a spell slot? He should have 5. He should have 2. Yeah, okay. Guess I used one. He's going to Cure Light Wounds on himself for 5 health. Brings him to 7. And then he's going to do it again to himself here. That's only 2. That's 9. That's not great, but he's going to heal Dark Shadow. 5 more, so that takes her back to her full, completely and totally healing hers. All right, and so that's where he's at there, and then he's going to heal himself with his last spell slot. So that is a 4. Okay, 13. Not quite up where he needs to be, but definitely not that. All right, so that was the day. Now we're going to have the night encounter, and we'll see if it happens in the twilight or if it happens in the while they're sleeping. So it happens while they're sleeping. So let's see whose watch it's on. 1, 2, 3. It's going to be a Ketho. All right. We all know how it goes with Ketho for night duty. All right. So let's see if he is surprised. I haven't rolled the encounter yet, but let's see if he's surprised. He is not. Okay, so let's see what it is. Nighttime in the forest. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. They are not prepared for, I mean, they could be, but okay, so I'm gonna roll a d6. On a 1, it takes notice of them. It does not. Ketho feels this overwhelming feeling of fear, and he looks up and he sees flying in the darkness across the moon the silhouette of a dragon. It appears to be going about its business and flying away from them. Whew, Ketho says, lets out a sigh of relief as the beast continues on its way, taking no notice. Thank goodness their fire wasn't at full. That could have been bad. So upon the next day, he tells his companions about what he saw in the night. Thardor prays to Cathor for his holy powers, and Ketho's studies, and gains his arcane power, and they have healed completely in the overnight. Thardor is at this, Ketho is at that, and Dark Shadow, yes. So they are now full and making their way into the second days of their journeys. Just spattered spell slots all over the place. Okay. All right, let's see what they're going to run into now. All right, so daytime journey. Second day. And let's roll. that's that. So, okay, cool. They've run into these in the forest before. Here we go. To have a considerable amount of these creatures, I suppose. Well, not really. It'll have to be enough to attack this party, though. Okay, so as they're walking through the forest, it seems to be a very idyllic, beautiful day. They are just enjoying the autumn weather, the turning of the leaves. But what they don't anticipate is the hunger of wolves. And they hear a distinct howling in the distance, and they start to get a bit scared. They know that something is starting to approach their position, and the silhouettes of these creatures begin to appear at various places around them. Very hungry and desperate canine wolves are slowly in a pack closing in on the party. Initiative. So the wolves go on a 6, Lalandra on a 1, Thardor on a 3, Ketho on a 7, and 5 for Dark Shadow. So Ketho, classic, is going to cast a sleep spell at this quadrant here and try to put out those 4 creatures. They are 2-hit die creatures, I believe, so that puts them at 2nd level fighters, I'm pretty sure. They save as 2nd level fighters, yes. So that is going to be they need a 16 to save. So these 4. One of them saves. So 3 of them fall asleep. And this one is still up. We'll replace that with this one. And replace this one with this one. All right, so 3 of them have fallen asleep thanks to his sleep spell. And now we go to the wolves themselves. 2 go on Lalandra, 1 goes on Dark Shadow, and then another one on Dark Shadow, Thardor, and the third one, they're fast enough to get around on Ketho. So, here we go. 3 on Thardor. They get a +2, they miss. 2 on Dark Shadow. Ooh, 1 hits. They do a D6 bite, I believe. Yes. So a D6 bite on, ooh, 6. Ouch. It's a solid bite. All right. And then the 2 on Lalandra. Oh, look, her former die crits her. And the other one hits. All right, so she takes 5 damage and then 6 plus a D4. 3, 9, so 14 damage total from those 2 attacks, of course. Oh my gosh, that's funny. 6 and yeah, 9, 15. So she's at 16 hit points. That was quite an attack from 2 of those wolves. And then the attack on Ketho misses. All right. So that was their attacks. Dark Shadow, plying with her short sword. She hits 1 and does 2 damage. They have this many hit points. Those are on him. This one's on that one. Those 2 are on her. Those 2 are on her. All right, and she does that much damage to that one. Okay. And then Lalandra is going to attack one of the ones on her, and she misses. And then Thardor attacks one of the ones on him, and hits armor class 13, which is just enough, and does 7 points of damage to one of them. So that puts it there. Okay, then we go to initiative. And that is 8 for Ketho, 6 for Dark Shadow, 1 for Thardor. That's 2 for Lalandra, and 5 for the wolves. So Ketho feels that they're in pretty desperate straits. So he's going to take a chance and cast another sleep spell, but it's going to encompass his companions as well. So we're going to do these 3 on a saving throw. They need 17s. No, they need 16s. 1 saves to fall asleep. These 2 here, neither of them pass. The 2 on Lalandra, nope. And the 1 on him, nope. And then okay, so that's all of them. And then checking something in the spell again. That spell has caused me a bit of confusion over the time. I don't know why. I probably should be able to figure that out. Yeah, okay. I'm still good. All right. So, that was a point, and now his companions have to save. His companions have to save. Oh my goodness. So Dark Shadow saves. It doesn't look like Lalandra is going to save. She is not going to save. She falls asleep. And Thardor, he needs a 9. I'm going to have him use a luck die. I don't want to, but I'm going to. He can't fall asleep. That's not enough, so he has to use 2 luck dice to not fall asleep. If he falls asleep, it could be bad. So there we go. All right. So the wolf is still up. It attacks Thardor and hits armor class 14, not enough. And then we go to Lalandra, and she does nothing. Thardor attacks the wolf on him. And 10 misses. Okay. So that brings us to initiative. Ketho on a 7. Dark Shadow on a 7. Oh my gosh. Lalandra on 1. 6 for the wolves. 1 for Thardor. Not the best. Not the best. All right. So Ketho wakes up Lalandra. Dark Shadow, she attacks the wolf over here fighting and hits and does 2 damage. And then that wolf attacks. It still has no one to say quit. 15 misses Thardor. Thardor attacks. Misses. And then Lalandra stands up, staggers over, and tries to stab at it. And she hits, and she does 5 damage, which is enough to finish it off. And with the crit system I have, they end up taking out all of the sleeping wolves, because they can't have them coming after them again. I mean, that's a lot of wolves. Ventures are not good for the ecosystem, folks. All right. So they are now going to have a night encounter this night. See if it happens during the twilight or while they're sleeping. It's going to be happening while they're sleeping. Let's see whose watch it's going to be on. It's going to be on Ketho's. Guess who? All right, Ketho's there. And then we'll see what it is. All right, in the night. Now, this is the night. Doesn't quite make any sense, so it's going to be the thing below it. And see if he is surprised. He is not. crashing through the woods from that direction are the crushing footprints of something rather large. Maybe two such large things making their way loudly through the forest. Thus, that is why he is not surprised. Where is my... There it is. All right. So, he goes, hey, everybody. Time to wake up. Time to wake up. Alarm, alarm, alarm. But also, Thardor spends... I'm just going to have him spend all of his spell slots to heal them up to full instead of doing the rolling thing. It'll save time. She's at 31. Thardor's at 21. He didn't need any healing. She did. Dark Shadow needed 6 points. So to be fair, I'll take over all 5 of his slots, as well as I'll have Dark Shadow do a healing stone charge as well, which should be recovered by the evening, just to be fair. So coming through the woods, drawn by the scent of the fire, the dinner, and the adventures, are these hulking creatures. Initiative. All right, so Lalandra's going to get up. Dark Shadow gets up. Thardor gets up. Ketho, what? And I'm going to roll... Yeah, they're close enough he can see them. So he's going to back around the other side of the thing. He has a spell slot left. He's going to cast a shield spell on himself so that he has some defense. All right. So that's all of their actions, and the ogres come clomping into town. Roar! Roar! I'll randomly see who they go after. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be Dark Shadow, and the second one's going after Dark Shadow. So they smell elf, and they want it. So they're heading that direction. Around the trees. Dark Shadow tries to get two things. Here we go. And they're attacking. All right, so ogres get +4 to hit. Their fighter 4s, they get +4 to hit. 16 does hit Dark Shadow, but 9 does not. So Dark Shadow takes 8 points of damage. She was hit by that fire giant last episode, and that was quite devastating. So she's unfortunately getting used to getting smashed by large humanoids. All right. Okay. Then it's initiative. So they go on 3, Thardor on 1, Lalandra on 5, Ketho on 8, and Dark Shadow on 3. So she is Simo with the ogres. Ketho's going to attempt to put one of them asleep. Has a saving throw of 15 or higher. And it rolls a 2, and it boom, falls over sleeping. A spell slot. Then Lalandra runs and attacks the other one that's fighting Dark Shadow, trying to take away some of the heat from her friend. And she hits and does... she is at 9, does 9 damage to the ogre. Let me determine their hit points. Yeah, okay. And does, what did I say? Yes, 9. Cool. So, okay, so that was her attack. The ogre swings down and tries to smash the elf again. Not liking the elf. She isn't. Oh, natural 1. She completely dodges out of the way. Then that brings us to Dark Shadow herself. She is just going to back away through the tent and then just get out of the way of that creature. And then that brings us to Thardor. He comes 1, 2. It's enough to get over there. He swings with his warhammer and misses. Might be time to retire that old Salem die. I think it's had enough. it's just tired. It's tired. All right, initiative. All right, so that is Lalandra on a 6. Pretty good. 2 for the ogres, 4 for Dark Shadow, 5 for Ketho, and 2 for Thardor. He goes with the ogres. So Lalandra stabs with her magical sword and misses with a 2. Ketho unleashes a magic missile. Oh, it's only 2 damage. Don't like that at all. All right, and then spell slot not well spent. Dark Shadow fires off her bow. She has a good chance of missing her friends, and she misses. And then Thardor is going to attack, and he hits armor class 14. Let's see if that's a hit. Ogres have armor class 15, so no. He could spend his last die to do that. He is not going to do that. Not worth it. All right, and then that brings us to the ogre. He does not like dwarves, so he is going to swing down at that dwarf. And he misses. All right, initiative. 3 for Dark Shadow, 4 for Thardor, 4 for the ogres, 6 for Ketho, and 2 for Lalandra. So Ketho, he's going to unleash yet another magic missile, trying to whittle this thing down, weaken it. 7 damage. That's definitely much better than the last one. All right. And then that brings us to the ogre, smashing down on Thardor, not liking him. Misses. And then that brings us to Thardor himself. He attacks with his Warhammer and hits armor class 16. That is a hit and does 9 damage, which fells the mighty ogre. Then they bring over Dark Shadow to coup de grace this ogre. Too much rope to tie it up, so they're gonna have to deal with it if it wakes up. So let's see how much damage she does. Oh, she automatically crits. Sorry, she automatically crits a sleeping person. And that is 8 damage times 2, 16 damage, but it's enough to wake up the ogre. Whoa, initiative. Oh my goodness. So she goes on 3. I guess he goes on 1. I guess that makes a lot of sense. 2 for Thardor, 4 for Ketho, and 5 for Lalandra. Lalandra runs up. I'm going to give her +2 because he's on the ground. So she's hitting on +9. She crits him anyway. So that's 8 plus a d4. So 9 plus 3, 12 damage, and that's enough to finish off the already sorely wounded ogre. So that was that night encounter. Okay, their final day of travel before they come. So they managed to have to rest a couple extra hours to be able to get their slots. They use up their healing stones on Dark Shadow to see how many they need. Dark Shadow uses 1. No, Dark Shadow's going to keep 2. Misty Hollow's going to use 1. And that gets her to 2. That only brings her to 10. And then each of the other 2 will use 1. So, and that's enough to bring her to full. So she's at full, and their stones will recharge overnight. And so we'll be at full charge, and that's at 16 hit points. Okay. So they get their spell slots back after resting a couple hours since they were interrupted. They're off to a late start on this last final day of their trek, following the map to the final delve, the final spot of the Shattered Crown. Let's see what we have in store for them. Ooh. Yes. Okay. All right, it's going to be 2 of these things. I think I have a mini that'll do. All right. Yeah, this will do. Yeah, okay. It's not 100%, but it's close enough. All right, so All right, so this is their daytime encounter. Here we go. See if they're surprised. Oh, wait. Get their tile flipped over. Traveling through Treya's wood on the foothills, right at the edge of the foothills of the Trundelwrack Mountains, they discover, let's see what they got. Okay. See if they're surprised. They are not surprised. Crashing through the trees again. Fee, fi, fo, fum. We smell food. Two hill giants come into view, coming out of the Trundelwrack Mountain foothills into Treya's wood looking for food in this almost winter time, late autumn. Oh, food. Initiative. 4 for Dark Shadow, 1 for Thardor, 5 for the Giants, 7 for Ketho, and Lalandra and Thardor found flat-footed, and they will be attacking at the end of the round. So, our Halfling magic user unleashes a magic missile at the big one, the bigger one, and does 4 damage to him. They have that many hit dice. Let's do a roll. I'll do this. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yep, so they have that many hit points each. And here we go. All right, so he did, his magic missile did 4 damage. And that was that. And he backs up a bit to this tree stump. Then the giant one comes forward and attacks Thardor. Roar. The other one comes and attacks Lalandra. Roar. And so, let's see what they do. The darker one is going to be Thardor. Oof! So Thardor is hit, but Lalandra is missed. Hill giants do 2d8 damage with their giant clubs. So Thardor is taking 15 points of damage. So that brings him to 6. Okay. And that hurt really bad. He only has 1 luck die. He should probably get out of there, but we'll see. That brings us to Dark Shadow. She lets fly. She moves up and actually uses her healing stone to heal Thardor. And that's 6 hit points back. Hopefully that'll help keep him alive a little longer. All right. And so that brings us to Lalandra and Thardor both attack. All right, so Lalandra hits, as does Thardor. Lalandra does 11 damage to hers. And he does only 3 to his. But that is okay. All right, initiative. 7 for Dark Shadow. 3 for the creatures, 4 for Ketho, 3 for Lalandra, and 3 for Thardor. So they all go simultaneous. Dark Shadow does yet another healing on her friend. She feels that that would be more valuable since that blow was horrible. Ugh, that's not great, but I mean, he is moving around, so it's kind of hard for her to get a firm. Okay, good enough. Something, right? And then Ketho unleashes yet another magic missile at the one on Thardor and does 4 damage to it. And then that is the Ogre and Lalandra, and the dark one is on Thardor. So Thardor's hit, Lalandra is critted, she hits hers, and Thardor, it's a 13, which is, why does it have 2? Says there's a 13 in the thing next to it. I can't remember what that is, but I'm gonna say, I guess they have armor class 13, 15 if they're wearing something unarmored. Yeah, they're unarmored, so 13 then is the hit. So he does hit. Okay, so he does 7 damage to his. She does 7 damage to hers. And she is critted, so that's 16 plus a d4 damage. So that's 18 damage, which brings her to 13 hit points. And that hurt. She really took a massive blow there. All right, so that was all of them at the same time. All right, damage has been dealt. Initiative. 1 for the Giants, 4 for Lalandra, 4 for Dark Shadow, 7 for Ketho, and 1 for Thardor. So he goes with the ogres, or the hill giants again. Ketho, he's just an artillery piece, sending off those magic missiles. All right, so this is his 3rd one. He's sending it off. He's going to do at the one that he's been picking on, the big one. Doing his best to bring it down. He does 3 damage to it. Every little bit helps. All right, then Dark Shadow finally is going to circle around. She's got a pretty good move, and attack the giant from behind, giving her additional +2 to hit with her short sword. She may regret this. We shall see. She does hit and does 4 damage. And then Lalandra gets to attack. She stabs with her enchanted sword. She gets +7 to hit, and that is a 14. So she sinks the blade into the flesh of her opponent, and that brings him to that many hit points. And then Thardor and the ogres all attack at the same time, or hill giants all attack at the same time. Ooh, hill giants miss, and Thardor actually hits, and he does 6 damage to his. All right, so now we roll initiative. Hill giants, very hungry, very upset. They are very hurt currently. So Dark Shadow is going with the giants. Thardor is on that, and that puts Lalandra there. Ketho, once again, artillery piece, lets off a magic missile, the one that Lalandra is fighting for 7. All right, and then simultaneously, Dark Shadow with an extra +2, and the hill giants are all going to attack together. Dark Shadow hits, 1 hill giant misses, and the hill giant on Thardor hits him. So he takes 7 points of damage. That's going to take him down to that. And Dark Shadow hits for a d6. 3 more damage on this one. And, ooh, Titanic battle happening here, folks. All right, so let's see where this takes us. Thardor. Oh, Thardor is going on that as well. So Thardor unleashes with his Warhammer, and it rolls a natural 1. No big shock there. Lalandra attacks her opponent, hitting and only doing 4 damage. The hill giants are bleeding, and the more they're bleeding, the angrier they get. So here we go. Initiative. Going beyond their level of reason. 5 for Thardor, 2 for the giants, 7 for Ketho, 5 for Dark Shadow, and 4 for Lalandra. So Ketho, once again, like artillery piece. Of course, he's not going to have any slots for the nighttime encounter, but that's all right. 3 damage. And then Dark Shadow and Thardor both attack at the same time. She hits and he hits as well. So they do some damage together. And he does 2 and she does 6 for a total of 8. And she is going to use some luck dice and a 3rd luck die to finish him off. The hill giant falls. And then hopefully she doesn't regret that decision. Okay. Then it is Lalandra attacking her opponent. And she rolls a natural 1 and misses. And then that giant swings down at her. His best friend just went down. And he hits her and does 2d8 points of damage. That's 8 points of damage. So she is down to 5. You killed Well, I'm sorry about that, but you attacked us first. And then initiative. Ooh, poor giant. He's wearing down. He's got 1 initiative. Poor Ketho's wearing down too, I guess. And then Lalandra on a 2. Ketho on a 3. Thardor on a 5. And Dark Shadow on an 8. Dark Shadow runs over and attacks from behind. Gets the additional +2. And the additional +2 would make that a +5. So that's a 13 just hitting for 3 damage on this one. And then Thardor moves up and attacks. I hate giants. And hits and does 7 damage, dropping the creature. Both of the hill giants are now lie defeated at the feet of the heroes. The Argosian Wayfarers, minding their own business, wayfaring through Treya's wood. So they need to heal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to roll 5. D6 plus 1. And that's terrible. 3. That's a 4, 8, and 12 plus 5. That's 17 total hit points. We'll just say that's all on Lalandra to bring her to 22. That is all of his spell slots for the day. And then they have Dark Shadow's going to hold on to her healing stones. Thardor is going to use 2 charges off of his. And that's 7, 9. So he's back. Well, he's up to 16 of 21. Ketho is not wounded, nor is Dark Shadow. So Lalandra is going to use one of her healing on him and on her to heal herself a little more. That's 6 more, so that puts her at 28. And then she's going to use another one to heal her friend. And that's 4 more, so he is up to 20, almost full. A bit sore, that's about it. Okay. So now they travel the rest of the day, very sore from their encounter with the giants. And this is the final encounter. Let's see what it is. Night. Well, first of all, let's see if it happens at the very twilight, or if it's, nope, it's going to happen while they're sleeping, and it's going to happen on 1, 2, Dark Shadows watch. 7 in the grass, or 7 in the forests. Okay, that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun. All right, so she's sitting there. She's relaxing. And then her little friend comes up. And she feeds her friend, the little black bear. And she tries to pet it this time, see if she's able to do so. And she's going to use luck dice. Not enough. Okay, so she reaches out very slowly and pets the little bear's head, making sure that nobody's awake, making sure nobody can see her actually being compassionate and like this. She has a reputation to uphold, after all. So the little black bear sits with her for a while, ends up licking her hand, and she feeds it some of his rations, and then it wanders off into the forest again. And she's decided to call it Pookie after that orc that was slain in the halls of Rathgalamore. So, yeah, so she has that nice quiet moment by herself. Very nice. And upon the next day, they come to the place on the map where Treya's wood is, and in between 2 trees, or right in the middle of 2 trees, is a stairway leading down, open to the elements. Anything or anyone could have come into these stairs. This is supposedly the last resting place of the shard. Hopefully something else did not get to it and take it out of here. Who knows what awaits them down in that delve. They are up to full resources currently. Slots, everything. And we shall see how it goes in the next episode. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me. We'll find out what happens in the 6th delve in the next episode. So until next time, keep on rolling dice and playing games. Mage Hammer out.